Calling the police should be the moment you feel safe. But in these 3 stories, it was the moment each person realized help might not reach them in time. That is what most people never consider. The second you make that call, there is a system in motion. Trained professionals, response protocols, backup, all of it moving toward you. But in these 3 cases, moving toward you was not the same as arriving. In each one, someone did exactly what they were supposed to do. They noticed something wrong. They reported it. They waited. And the police either could not find anything, could not act on what little they had, or could not get there in time to stop what was already in motion. The danger was confirmed, just always a little too late. And that gap, the space between calling for help and help actually reaching you, is where each of these stories happens. Think about how much of your safety depends on things going right, in the right order, at exactly the right time. Because in these cases, they didn't. Marcus had been living in the same apartment for about 3 years when the incident started. Second floor of a 6-unit building in a mid-sized city. The kind of neighborhood where you wave at neighbors but do not know their last names. Quiet, unremarkable, safe enough that he had never once felt the need to worry about it. That was the first mistake, not his, just the situation's. The kind of normal that makes you stop paying attention. He worked early shifts and was usually home by 4 in the afternoon. Same routine, same parking lot, until late October, when the car appeared. A dark gray sedan. Older model. No plate frame. Tinted rear windows. Sitting in the visitor lot every single evening, facing the building instead of the road. At first, he assumed it belonged to a guest. He did not think much of it. That was his second mistake. On the 3rd night, he came home and noticed the car was running. Engine on, lights off. When Marcus walked past the lot toward his entrance, the headlights clicked on. He kept walking. He went upstairs, stood at his window, and watched. The car sat for another 40 minutes. Then it left. He did not sleep well that night. A few days later, he heard something outside his front door. Not a knock, just movement. The slow kind, like someone standing in the hallway and shifting their weight. He moved quietly to the peephole. The hallway was empty. But there was something on the mat outside his door, a folded piece of paper. He picked it up, a gas station receipt from 2 blocks away. No note, no name, just the receipt, with a timestamp from 40 minutes earlier. At the time, he told himself there was probably an explanation. There wasn't. He called the non-emergency line. The dispatcher logged everything but explained that sitting in a parking lot was not illegal. Leaving a receipt was not illegal. A patrol car would do a pass through his block. The patrol came at 10:30. The sedan was not there that night. Marcus let himself relax a little. That was the moment the situation changed. 2 nights later, the sedan was back. Different spot, one with a direct sightline to his bedroom window. He called again. Same result. Patrol came. Car was gone before it arrived. Now here is the detail that mattered. A neighbor named Diane, who lived in the unit below his, mentioned she had seen a man in the lot taking photos on his phone. She thought he was photographing the building's exterior. She had not reported it because it seemed harmless. Remember that. Because it was not harmless. Marcus went to the station in person. The officer cross-referenced both reports, issued a formal observation report, and told Marcus to get a doorbell camera and call 911 directly, not the non-emergency line, if anyone came to his door. He ordered the camera that night, 3-day shipping. He thought that was the end of the waiting. It wasn't. On the 2nd night before the camera arrived, he woke at 2 a.m. to his bedroom window latch rattling. He lay completely still. It rattled again, twice, then went quiet. Before I go further, think about what you would do in that moment, because most people would turn on the light, and that is exactly the wrong thing to do. He called 911 without moving from his bed. Officers arrived in 9 minutes. They found scuff marks on the ledge below the window, and a single boot print in the landscaping directly beneath it. No suspect, just the evidence that someone had been there. Marcus felt something close to relief. He shouldn't have. The camera arrived the next day. 4 days. Nothing. Then on a Tuesday evening at 11:47 p.m., the camera triggered on motion in the hallway. A man Marcus had never seen, standing 6 feet from his door, looking directly into the lens. For 4 seconds, he just stood there. Then he walked to the stairwell and disappeared. They had a name within 48 hours. 2 prior trespassing charges. 1 prior stalking charge in another city. A case dropped when the victim relocated, but when they went to pick him up, he was already gone. No forwarding information, no trace. All of it was real. The sedan, the boot print, the hallway footage, Diane seeing him take photos of the building. Marcus had not imagined a single thing, and somehow that made it worse, because now the police knew he was real. Marcus knew he was real, and he was still out there. If you are into true stories where the danger gets worse even after help is called, subscribe before the next one starts. Because what happened to Kayla and Derek makes this look like a warning sign. With Marcus, the police believed him from the beginning. They documented everything, responded every time he called, and eventually confirmed the threat was real. They just could not move fast enough. But the next case takes that idea and makes it worse, because in this one the police could not even stay on the line. And whatever was outside the house, it knew exactly how much time it had. Kayla and her husband Derek had been renting a rural property for about 2 years. 22 miles from the nearest town, long gravel driveway, open land on 3 sides, a tree line to the north that turned bare and dark in November. They both worked remotely. They wanted the quiet. By late fall, it felt like a different place entirely. On a Wednesday afternoon, Kayla noticed a white pickup pulled halfway onto the shoulder at the base of their driveway. Hazards off, not quite broken down and not quite parked, just sitting there. She watched it from the kitchen window for 10 minutes. No one got out. It didn't move. She went back to her desk. An hour later, she looked again. Still there. Derek said it was probably someone with car trouble. He would walk down and check. Kayla said, "Wait." Something about the way it was positioned didn't sit right. Just a feeling she couldn't let go of. They called the county sheriff's non-emergency line. 1 deputy already on a call. Estimated response time, 40 to 50 minutes. By the time they hung up, the truck was gone. They both let themselves believe that was it. That was the last moment of the evening that felt normal. Around 8 o'clock, the motion-activated light on the back of the house clicked on. That light could go weeks without triggering. Derek grabbed a flashlight and went outside. He swept the yard, the tree line, the area around the detached garage. Nothing. He came back inside. The light reset. And this is the part Kayla described carefully. After Derek came in from outside, she heard him in the kitchen. Heard the door, heard footsteps, heard him moving around in there. But then Derek appeared from the hallway, coming from the back of the house. He had entered through the back door. He had not gone through the kitchen. She did not ask him about it. She told herself she had miscounted footsteps in the dark. Neither of them went back into the kitchen for the rest of the night. That detail stayed with her. It still does. Just after midnight, Kayla woke to a sound outside the bedroom window. Slow and deliberate. 1 step, a pause, then another. The sound of someone moving carefully through dry leaves. She woke Derek without speaking. They lay still and listened. It stopped, then started again. Closer. Derek called 911. Dispatcher stayed on the line. Told them to stay inside. Move away from the windows. Derek asked how long. 34 minutes. He said okay. The footsteps had gone quiet. The house was completely still. Then the front door handle moved. Pressed down and released. Slowly. Like someone testing whether it was locked. Kayla said that one small click, in a house that's silent, was the moment she fully understood what was happening. 26 minutes now. Then the call dropped. 1 bar. Then nothing. He moved through the house, holding the phone toward every window, searching for signal. That was when he looked out the front and saw a figure standing at the far edge of the driveway, just standing there, facing the house, not moving. He found enough signal to send one text. Still here. Person in driveway. No signal. Then nothing. They waited in the dark for 23 minutes. When the patrol car finally came down the gravel drive, the figure was gone. The deputies found boot prints along the north side of the house. The bedroom side, pressed into soft ground. The compression near the tree line suggested someone had been standing there for a long time before any call was ever made. Whoever it was had been there before dark. Then they checked the back door. A small strip of duct tape pressed over the latch. Not enough to hold it open, just enough to stop it from fully latching shut. The back door Derek had used when he came in from checking the yard, the door that was supposed to be locked. The deputies took photos, marked the boot prints, documented the tape, and filed the report. Without a plate number or description, options were limited. They recommended cameras, better lighting, call 911 immediately if anything happened again. They left at 2 in the morning. Kayla and Derek were checked into a hotel by 3. They never went back to the house. No one was ever identified. No one was charged. The tape on the door latch was the only confirmed physical evidence, but it told them everything. Someone had been on that property before sunset. They had touched the back door. They had stood outside the bedroom window in the dark and waited. And when a patrol car finally arrived, they were simply gone. The worst part was not that someone had been outside. It was that they had taken their time. And if you are still with me at this point, you probably understand why these stories are not just scary because of what happened. They are scary because of what almost happened. Subscribe if you want more real stories told this way. I post them regularly. In Kayla and Derek's case, the gap between calling for help and help arriving was 34 minutes. That was enough. But the final story is different in a way that is harder to sit with. Because in this one, police were involved almost from the beginning. They responded every time. They filed every report. They did everything the law allowed them to do. And it still was not enough. Because some things move faster than a case file. Nadia started filing police reports in March. By June, she had filed 3 of them. Everyone was documented. Every officer she spoke with took her seriously. There was never a moment where someone rolled their eyes or told her she was overreacting. That is what makes this the hardest story of the 3. She was 29, a teacher, ground floor apartment, secure entrance, keypad at the front, deadbolt on the unit door, chain lock on the inside. It started with a feeling. She knew how that sounded. During her commute home, sometimes she felt like someone was watching her. Not every day, but often enough that she had started paying attention. Then came the first concrete thing. A note under her windshield wiper referencing a coffee shop she had visited the previous weekend. By name. It said something like, "I saw you there." No signature. She did not recognize the handwriting. She filed the first report. The officer told her to collect any future communications and report anything else that felt unusual. For 2 weeks, nothing. That was the false ending, and she almost believed it. Then her neighbor Carl knocked on her door and mentioned he had noticed a man sitting in a car across the street over the past several days. Long stretches, just sitting there. By the time they went outside, the car was gone. But she recognized the description. She had seen that man before. At a crosswalk near her building. At the laundromat 3 blocks away. Once in a crowd near the transit stop. She had told herself it was coincidence. That was the detail she had been wrong about. She filed the second report and was connected with Detective Rivera, who worked stalking cases. Rivera was direct. Without a name or a provable threat, they could not make an arrest. The pattern had not yet crossed into a chargeable offense. She told Nadia to get a dashcam, keep a written log, and avoid drastically changing her routine. because abrupt behavior changes can sometimes escalate an unstable person's response. Nadia did all of it. 6 weeks passed. Nothing. She started sleeping better, started walking to her car without checking over her shoulder. And this is the part that still bothers her. Not that she let her guard down, but how quickly it happened. On a Thursday evening in late May, she was walking from her car to her building entrance, 40 feet, maybe less, when a man stepped out from between two parked vehicles and said her name. Not hey, not excuse me. Her name. She described it as less like fear and more like recognition, like her body understood before her mind caught up. His expression was the worst part, not angry, not nervous, satisfied, like he had been waiting for exactly this. She ran, made it inside, called 911 from the lobby. Officers arrived in under 4 minutes. No one was found, but the dashcam footage had his face, clear, unobstructed. Rivera had a name within 48 hours. He was someone Nadia had never spoken to. No shared workplace. No mutual connection. No reason on paper for him to know she existed. He had found her through a local community group she had posted in once, about a lost cat. He took her profile photo from that post and spent months tracking her commute. A single post about a lost cat. That was the thread he had pulled. He was arrested, released on bail 4 days later. Nadia moved in with her sister that week. The case processed for 8 months. He violated the no-contact order once, a message through a secondary account. Flagged. Added to the file. He was warned. The case ended in a plea agreement. No jail time. Supervised probation. A mandated treatment program. On paper, it was a legal resolution. To Nadia, it felt like a warning with paperwork attached. Months later, she was scrolling through old photos. Pictures from a school event in February, the February before she ever filed the first report. In the background of one photo across the street, near a parked car, was a man standing alone. The image was blurry, but she recognized enough of it to stop scrolling. She still does not know exactly when it started. She is not sure she wants to. 3 people, 3 cases. 3 times the right calls were made, to the right people. Marcus got his report filed, his camera installed, his suspect identified. Kayla and Derek got officers on scene, boot prints documented, physical evidence collected. Nadia got a detective, a name, an arrest, and a conviction. The system worked, and none of them felt safe. That is the thing these stories share. Not that the police failed, but that doing everything right was not the same as being protected. The gap between calling for help and help actually reaching you is real, and in that gap, anything can happen. Sometimes the scariest part of a story is not that someone was in danger. It is that they did everything right, called the right people, waited for protection, trusted the process, and it still was not enough to give them their lives back. If you want more true stories told in this calm, detailed style, subscribe to Nightfall Narratives. Stay aware, stay careful,